Hello everyone, my name is Steve and welcome back to episode 2 of How to Program. In this video we're going to be looking at terminology, variables, and some more complex programming. So let's dive right into it. We're going to start by taking a look at what's the difference between public in front of something and private in front of something. Now, private and public is the security level of that thing. As you can see in this other file we have, I'm saying new app. What that does is it calls this. The reason I'm able to do that in a separate file that doesn't have this is partly to do with this, yes, but it's also made possible by this saying public. To demonstrate, I can change this to private. That works here, but in here, you see we get an error. The error is that this security level does not allow another file to use it. It needs to be a public constructor for another file to be able to use it. Same goes with the difference here. This one we don't need to use in another file. We only need to use it right here in the same file, so there's no reason for it to be public when it could be private. Now with that out of the way, let's take a look at what these parentheses mean. You're seeing them quite a lot here. Basically, anything between them is called a parameter. To demonstrate what that is, we're going to make a new function. The function is going to be very similar to this one. We want to call it something other than start though, since we already have a start. Let's call it multiply. Pause the video now and try to just make that function on your own. Alright, I'm assuming you've done it now, so let's go ahead and do it here. Private void multiply, open and close parentheses, open and close curly brackets. Great job. Now inside of these parentheses we're going to be putting in some parameters. I'll explain what this means in a moment, but for now just type float x, float y, just like this. Now, what exactly is float x? What is float y? Well, let me demonstrate up here in the start function. These are called variables, and you can essentially think of a variable as a box with something in it. So, for example, we're going to type float a, we're going to type equals 0.5f semicolon. Now, what we've just done here is we've created a new box. The box has a label on it, and that label is A. The box is a special type of box, and the type of it is a float. Inside the box, we have this value right here, 0.5f. Now, you can really just think of the 0.5 here. You have to type the f because it's a type float. To demonstrate, let's make another variable. This one, instead of type float, will be type int, which is short for integer. We'll call it b, set it equal to 10 semicolon. Now, a float, as you can see, has a 0 point something. An integer does not. If we add, say, 0.5, you can see that this won't actually work. Integers cannot have decimal points, and they have to be whole numbers, whereas a float can have decimal points and is ended with the f signifier. Now, let's actually use these boxes somehow. We're going to make a new console.writeLine statement, and inside it we're going to put a, and then we're just going to put a semicolon. Now on a new line, do that again, but do it for b, just like this. You should now have this in your start function. Now, try and guess ahead of time what's going to be printed to the console here. Now that you've guessed that, go ahead and run the program and take a look. You can see here it says it's working still. That's because we never removed this line. You can also see the next line says 0.5 and then 10. Now, why is it doing that? We specifically told it to write an A and then a B. Well, that's what these quotation marks are for. You see, without them, we're telling to write the value of the package with the label A. The value of that package, as we said earlier, is 0.5. Whereas if we put this into quotes, we're not actually specifying that we want to get the value of the package anymore. Now we're saying we want you to actually write the letter A. And you can see how that works here. It's working A10. So that's a little bit of an intro to variables. Now, here you can see we're not actually assigning a value to the box that we've created. We're defining a new box, type float, and the label is X. But we're not giving it anything. And that is actually possible to do. As you can see up here, we can type float test, semicolon. Now we don't actually have to assign a value yet. We can assign a value on the next line by saying test equals 2.4f, right? This is easier to condense into one line. All you do is you move this equal sign up to here, right? And you get rid of that one. Very simple. But you can actually define something and not give it a value yet. But here's a little bit trickier than that. See, we're not actually defining these in the traditional sense. We're actually saying this is what we want whenever you call the function. As you can see up here, we called the function start. Start doesn't say it wants anything, so we don't have to give it anything. Multiply says it wants something. It wants a box of type float and another box of type float. It doesn't matter what you called those boxes. It's going to rename them for you once it gets them. So let's get rid of these and say float b equals 2.5f. Alright? And we can also get rid of the it's working line while we're here. Go down a couple lines and call the function multiply. Pass in a and b as values. Try that out on your own. Great. Here's how we'll do it. Multiply, just like we did with start. Open and close. And now you can see that we have a red underline. We didn't have a red underline up here because start didn't want anything. Multiply, however, you can see, wants the parameter x that we defined down here. So we're going to pass in a, and then we're going to pass in b. Now, this will work just fine. We've given x the value that a had. We've given y the value that b had. It's important to note that we're not actually changing a and b. These still exist, and on other lines down here, we can still use them. It's just that in this function, we can't access a and b, since they're not in this function. We don't have access to them. Instead, we're getting access to what they used to be. Down here, we can say a equals 3.2 now, and in here, x will still be equal to 0.5. This is again because we're not actually giving a, we're giving the value of a. So, how do we use this? Well, one thing we can do quite simply is say console.writeLine again. In here, we're going to say x times y. Notice the asterisk is the time symbol on your keyboard. Dividing is the slash. The times here is going to write to the console whatever x times y is. Again, we didn't give x and y a value in this function. We're completely relying on them having values by another function. The start function will give x and y values, which will then be used to multiply together. Pause the video now, try to come up with what's going to be printed to the screen, and here we go. As you can see, 1.25 is printed to the screen. The answer of 0.5 times 2.5, 1.25. As you can see, what the computer is doing here is exactly what we told it to. So, let's break this down again, walk through it step by step to make sure you're really getting it. Here, we're creating a new variable. The type of the variable is a float, which allows a decimal to be included. The label of the variable, or name, is a. We're giving that variable a value. The value is 0.5, and we write an f next to it because it's a float. Once that's done, we create a new variable, name it b, we give it 2.5 as a value. Then, we call the multiply function. In the multiply function, we pass through the value of a and the value of b. We don't pass through the variables themselves. They remain intact. We're only passing through what their value currently is. In the multiply function, we receive the value of a, 0.5, and we assign that value to x so that we can use it in our own function here. We do the same with y and b. Next, we tell the console to write whatever the x times the y is, which in this case is 0.5 times 2.5. I hope that made it clear, and we're going to wrap up this video by talking about the void. What does this void mean? Why do both of these have it, and why doesn't this one? Well, to start off, the constructor is a special kind of function that doesn't return anything. It doesn't need a return type. It's a special function that will never have a return type. Void is a return type. The function here, start is the name. That's where you define the name of it. Private is, of course, the security level. In between them, you write the return type. This function, when it's called, does not return anything. It returns void, nothing. Same goes over here. But we're going to change that. Instead of return void in multiply, we're going to return float. Whoa, right? So now, we're going to come over to here, and we're going to say float answer. We're not going to give float answer any value. Instead, we're going to type answer equals multiply. Now what this does is it's going to still call the multiply function like anything would, but when this returns a value, it's going to return it to this. So how do we return a value? Well, it's pretty simple. Instead of console.writeLine, we'll type return x times y. Very simple, right? Nice and easy. So now, what's happening here? Well, again, this part hasn't changed. We have two variables, a and b, of 0.5 and 2.5. Now we have a new variable, float answer. It doesn't have a value yet, so let's give it a value. The value we're going to give it is going to be dependent on the return of the multiply function. The multiply function itself hasn't changed all that much. We're still passing in the value of the a and the value of the b, not the variables themselves. The value of the a gets stored in x, the value of the b gets stored in y. Then we execute that, we do x times y, and we return the answer. Returning it puts it through whatever this equal sign is directing it to go to. So now answer will have the answer. To demonstrate, we'll do console.writeLine, and we're just going to tell it to write the line answer. Run this, and you can see we're actually getting the exact same output we got last time, and that is how return types work. We're returning a float. Remember, the float is the type of variable that we want to get. A float named answer is what we want to get. So down here, we called this a float. If we change this to say integer, well, that's actually going to mess up our system a bit. You can see that we're returning x times y, which is a problem because x is a float and y is a float. Multiplying two floats gives you a float, but the return statement is trying to return an integer. It doesn't know what to do here, and it breaks. So this has to be a float. I hope that was easy enough to understand, but again, if you have any questions, comments, anything at all, leave it down in the comments section or join the Discord today, and I'll be happy to help you out. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day, everyone. Bye.